In this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to utilize Volume Profile. Not only that, I'm going to walk you through some live trades that were literally free money just because of this indicator. And the best part, I'm going to show you guys how to optimize it at the very end so you guys can use Volume Profile in your trading. Before we get into the video, I'll make a deal with you guys. If we hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of April, I will fly out one lucky member of my team for all expenses paid networking trip to Dubai. So if you want a chance to do that, make sure you subscribe. Now onto the video. Alrighty, so this is Volume Profile. It is a bar chart to the left or to the right of your screen. And what this shows is how many buyers and or sellers there were at a given price. Now, normally volume is down here like this, right? And all this shows is volume at the specific time. It doesn't really show us volume given the price. The reason why this is important is you can see high areas of demand and high areas of potential liquidity. Now, how I utilize this is I read this and go, the bigger the volume bar, the more volume per trade in this given area. And then along with the bar charts, it also shows one other thing, and it shows this white line. Now, the line simulates the part of the highest demand or the highest amount of volume. This simply means at this price, in this case, it's $9.50, majority of the volume was actually being traded at this level. So there was a lot of demand in this level, right? Now you can see this stock really pushed up quickly off of, well, relatively no volume. It went from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to eventually 10 before really picking up any type of volume. Now, what do you guys think happens when there's high volume in an area? Well, there's two things. One, there could be immense consolidation, or there's a lot of liquidity. The reason why this is important is because you have to understand if there's volume there, that simply means there's a lot of traders holding averages in those areas. So how do I use this for day trading? Well, when it comes down to it, if I see a crazy volume profile like this, the stock pushes up with relatively no volume, and then a majority of the volume is being held in this area, I am going to look to short this if it breaks below the high volume areas. The reason is there's a lot of people holding averages at 950 to 11. What do you think happens when I know that a lot of these traders are now red on their position? For example, right here. At this point, you can see that the bulk of the traders, majority of the volume that's being held between 11 and 9 are now red on their position. And to make it even better, there's low liquidity in this range. The reason I know that is because of the low volume down here. So when it starts to fall and traders start to cut their loss, the stock will start to drop. So an ideal volume profile is exactly this. Low volume to the upside, majority of the volume being held at the very top. Therefore, as it continues lower and these traders are down 10, 15, 20%, they're going to start cutting their loss. And when it comes to cutting their loss, they will be selling the stock, therefore having it plummet. Now, we do not like it when there's high volume throughout the entire move. This shows there's a lot of liquidity in this range, so there could be potential bounces really at any point. But if there's no liquidity or no buyers coming in, then we know that majority of the time, this stock will continue to fall. Let's look at another example. Now, all I did to add this indicator is I went to TradingView, Indicators, and typed in Volume Profile. This could be profile, volume by price on your charting, whatever software you utilize, and you just click Add. There you go. Let's look at an example of one I traded today, and still in actually, ACB. Now, this is the broker I do utilize. It's called Hammer. It is an offshore broker that allows you to short anything without needing at least $25,000 in your account. And you can day trade an unlimited amount of times. It is the best broker out there. So if you guys want access to it, just click the first link down below and I'm going to have a walkthrough video series on teaching you guys exactly how to get on Hammer. Alrighty, so again, for this case, we just go to anywhere where there's indicators. For me, I go to Main, Indicators, and then I just type in Volume Profile, or sorry, Volume by Price. It's Volume by Price in mine. I click Add. And then I have these bars. Now you can see there's not nearly as many bars as the last time. So I'm just gonna right click and edit this indicator. And I ideally like at least 50 bars. You can go up to 100, but 50 is ideal for me. Click apply, and now you have a more in-depth version of where majority of the volume is being held. Now in this case, you can see mine is a green line showing the apex point, which is 527. So when I went short today, you can see my short position was up here. As it was continuing lower, I knew that this was going to be a high bounce zone. A high probability of it coming back down to this area. Again, majority of people are holding averages in this area, long or short. So for short, they want to cover at break even, hence buying the stock back up, or there's a lot of demand in this range, so I know more than likely we'll get a bounce. And that we did, and now it's continuing higher. The reason why I continue to hold my short is because of this. If this stock broke below $5, look at this. If this stock broke below $5, the whole psychological level, you can see that volume really tapered off. Reason being, pre-market, there was relatively no volume. So my thesis was, if it came down and broke below 5, all these traders at these apex levels right here would be down 8%. This is a mid-cap stock, so 8% is a lot. Right here, they'd be down about 5%, so they would be cutting their loss. A majority of the volume, in this case, over 70 million shares, was being traded right in this area. As a lot of volume in not a huge area. Relatively speaking, there's only a 13% range. A 20% range or more is too volatile for me. I like to see tighter consolidation. So again, we want to see a stock rip and then flatline or consolidate. And we want to see the volume profile be little right here and really big in this range. So again, what we're looking for is for the stock, let's use green for the stock, to rip and then consolidate up here. What's happening throughout this consolidation is if the volume profile shows a majority of the volume is being held in this range, something like this, then I know majority of the people are holding. And again, as it starts to come back down, it will act as a ceiling or a resistance. Every time it comes back up to retest, it will more than likely get rejected and continue lower. Because a lot of people who are long are, again, holding their average in this area, and their psychological thought process is, let's get out at break even. Now how do we use this to the long side? Well, if I see a stock do this, it rips and then starts to pull on back, and I see the volume profile act like this, where it's probably low volume, looks like a big old middle finger. I know that more than likely this stock is going to come down in this high demand range and then bounce and then continue higher. So the high areas of liquidity or the high areas of volume will be used as a floor or a support level. Then again, if it breaks below that level and every time it comes back up and retest, it will more than likely get rejected. Now again, I am a short bias trader, so I do look for this exact thing to happen. They consolidate and then break below the high area of volume and then continue lower. Let's look at one more example. I do want to highlight an example brought to me by a professional trader in my group where he showed me this volume profile. But here's the thing, a majority of the volume in shares were being traded right down here at 725, which is important to know because it more than likely will be a support as it comes down to test it. But here's the thing, now there was another high volume profile right here at $21. Now, this should be weighed heavier, right? Because it's a higher price stock, 3 times greater than this. So in theory, this should be more like this when it comes to pure dollar amount. So we knew that as the stock, what this means is as the stock starts to rise, you have to take price into consideration. If the stock price is now much higher, like 300% higher, and it has consistent volume profile, really, if you did the math, it would kind of look like this, with this part being the apex level. Now, again, my good friend went short as it broke below this support level, and what do we see here? The stock continued lower, 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 and in the screenshot you can tell it came all the way back down to 725 and then bounced. The ticker is DWTX. Let's look at where DWTX is today. Look, you can see that $7 to $10 was a high volume profile case. So in this case, it went from $27 down to less than $9 and eventually bounced back up to the high volume profile level of $20, then getting rejected. So you can see that the areas of high volume are really important. Let's look at one more example. So this stock, again, had very high volume profile near the top, hence the consolidation. As it broke down, it continued much lower. This stock ticker symbol is FOXX, or the one I showed early on, And you can see that this stock, indeed, once it broke below the high volume level, it continued lower because there was no liquidity in this range for it to bounce into and for there to be any types of support. If you guys want to learn how to use Volume Profile more, click the second link down below and apply to our free mastermind. Here, I'm going to teach you guys the exact basics of starting an account, funding an account, and also how to use your first strategy so you can become a money printer yourself. Now remember our deal. If we got over 10,000 subscribers, I'm gonna fly one lucky member out to Dubai to have an all expenses paid networking trip with me at the end of April. Let's see if we can hit 10K. Deuces.